We heard a kind of strange passage this morning from Ezra. It's not one that probably is common on too many bumper stickers or t-shirts or wall hangings. But this is a passage from a long time ago that knows something about grief and gratitude and how they fit together. It offers wisdom about holding gratitude and loss, hope and fear, joy and sorrow, holding them together as part of the whole experience that we offer up to God. Ezra's a book that details the history of the people of Israel, the time when they were sent into exile in Babylon. It talks about when they come back. Ezra focuses on that period when they come back, after spending 70 years forced to live away from their home. What happened is that the Babylonians came in and they conquered, they took over. And in the process, they destroyed the temple, which was central for the people, their place of worship, their place of gathering. And then they sent the people back to Babylon to live. It was a strategy that was used to disempower and disorient the people who were conquered. After 70 years, a new ruler comes and rules in Babylon and decides, okay, the people can go home now. We'll send them back to where they come from. And so they head back to Jerusalem. Only what they come back to is not what they left. Their temple's been destroyed. Home isn't what it used to be. When we find them in our passage today, they are starting to rebuild that temple that was so central for them. And so they start with the very foundation. They build up the very foundation of the temple. And when the new foundation is laid, they want to get together to gather to worship in this sacred place where they have not worshiped for so long. So they're worshiping not at the finished temple. It's not like they have the whole thing up again, but they're worshiping at just the foundation, just the beginning of rebuilding. But it's a moment they want to mark, a moment of hope. When we're living through times of disorientation and of loss, celebrating small wins, small successes like this is important. The people aren't yet where they want to be, and yet they definitely aren't where they used to be either. And so they want to mark that. They celebrate that. They're on their way toward what will be home again, different from what it was, but real and vital and important. And so celebrating the foundation being laid is an act of faith. It's anchoring and it's hopeful after all that they've been through. That's true for us too, that celebrating the small things is something that brings the hope and the grounding that we need. And so the people shout for joy. They sing out praises to God. They do the things that you think that they might do in worship to celebrate. But then you get to verse 12, which starts with a but. There are people shouting out praises to God, but many of the older priests and Levites and family heads who had seen the former temple, they wept aloud when they saw the foundation of this temple being laid. So there's singing, there's joy, there's celebration, and also there's weeping. It's all there together. So much that in the final verse we heard, it says, no one could distinguish the sound of the shouts of joy from the sound of weeping, because the people made so much noise, and the sound was heard far away. So it was loud. It was heard. All of that hope and all of that grief together, it needed to be expressed, it needed to be heard, and that was part of their coming home. It was part of their rebuilding their home. In some ways, it created this kind of music of joy and of tears that came together in a song that was lifted up to God in that place as worship. that other people could hear too. Some people needed, in that moment of seeing the foundation laid, some needed to celebrate the progress, to celebrate the hope, the small win that they just experienced. And others, people who had seen and lived through loss and experienced it deeply, they needed to grieve, they needed to weep when they saw the rebuilding begin. They couldn't get that old temple of theirs back. The new temple would not be the same one. And so they had to grieve. It's part of what could let them move forward too. It was part of their coming home and of their rebuilding home.